I like to begin with this phrase. It's in Italiano, but you should begin to understand a few words. Ecco. I like this idea, un po' di calma, un po' di silenzio, un po' di dubbi, un po' di debolezza, un po' di curiosità, un po' di domande, un po' di ambiguità, di pensiero, di cura, solitudine, a spavento, di forse, di chissà, di attenzione, un po' di aiuto, un po' di perplessità, un po' di dolce, un po' di amaro. Ciao. It's not important. If not, Francesca will give you comunque the translation, but I didn't want to translate it. These are Italian phrases from Ettore Sozzas, and I like it a lot. This kind of attitude just before these days, and just before this Salone del Mobile, which is coming to my life. I always think about this. I go like this. Bueno, the problem is, you know, when you are speaking to others, and more the time we are living, is what about speaking about myself? I'm sure it's going to be nothing important in the future. How is going to be the connection between what is taking care and growing your individuality and growing a new way of connecting with the society, or a new way of connecting with collectivity. I begin showing you a few works that I feel them very individualistic in some way, but I finish telling you other works that I am involved in more collective histories. Then, just to make you understand that more and more I'm invaded myself, possibly not only because I'm working with a group, we are about 35 people, young people work in the studio, and but not this. I'm working more and more in histories which are connected with things. But this stupid image was comunque tells another history. Me, I began all my education in Spain and then in Italia in an analogical way. Even I was drawing in an analogical way, any kind of drawings for design and architecture. And bit by bit, my life became digital. Then, what I said, I am the generation in between. And this, I think, the studio is still having this attitude. Possibly designers, we will be always a kind of group of people that will always try to not be too much in in the digital only dimension. We will always get energy from both sides. And when you are doing your image and putting your face inside a digital new reality, you need to do a mapping of your face, extend it as an extended surface. You have it here, and then you put it, you surround a new kind of egg on your form, and then you became a digital Urquiola. Well, in the middle of the process, I think we still being in the studio. The studio still having comunque a lot of responsibility, not only as a footprint, I think more as a handprint, because I like the idea of the print, but I like the idea of the hand of Zio Marino, which is the uncle, one of the prototypists that worked with me. Yesterday I found a little video that I was dancing with him in Moroso, one of the companies I'm working, at the end of 1 year. And these relations with people, that they gave the analogical side of all your ideas, capito? They are very important in my life. Obviously, I'm going to tell you about many projects. I think I'm an old lady. I waited a lot to open my studio for many reasons, possibly because I'm a woman too. I was looking at the panorama, I was working for others. I was thinking if it was important or not to be in first line, because I was passionate and I was working in a group with others. My life didn't change it a lot when I was working for others, when I'm working for myself. It's a bit more simplified the way I'm thinking, because my ideas, they can go through in a more direct way, but at the end I'm working the same way. The collectivity is still being. And I think Milano represents for me one of the sides. I think when I arrived to Milano for me was La Notte di Antonioni, this film. Of me, I came from a bourgeois context. And this bourgeois context of this Milano was very different, and I was very interested. There were things that were coming from this society that in that moment, you know, a difference between Spain and Italy many years ago was a big difference. Today, we speak in another language. The difference, crossovers are much more different. And on the other side, there was the Wim Wenders, one of the Wim Wenders films that they were they gave me a big imprinting when I was a young student in Madrid, because they were the idea of nomad attitude, the idea of, you know, they live together, these two sides in my mind, till I'm young. I like this photo that a friend from Brasilia, was a photographer, he was living in Milano like me, did to me. He was go over the table, and he did me a few portraits, very strange, all of them sitting and thinking. And nobody did that to me anymore. And I'm thinking, but I like a lot Mafalda. Mafalda from Kino is part of my roots. I'm a Spanish, but Spanish, in Castellano, we are very connected with, you know, Latin America. And I like it a lot, Mafalda taking a book and saying, oh, life begins at 40. And then why they make us arrive to the word so much before, a bit of. I had the same problem, because I opened the studio at 40. And I lived it a lot before. There are many reasons. I think the way you do, the way you get culture is something that is parallel to your work. It's not something that you are doing a work and then you get all the information for that work, or you acculturate yourself because you are searching something. That's a ridiculous way of thinking. I think you have to begin to take care of yourself in a mental way from the beginning, and it's a parallel work, and then the things come together, and then the individual then does all the crossovers. Me, I'm alone, but I'm working with a community. I'm working with people like you. And the decisions, many times, they involve designers and architects. I like this moment because we were all, you know, the architects, they were looking at us. And what can happen, in this case, I'm not doing just a picnic. I'm working with a client from Israel that I was I don't know, in Jerusalem, and I couldn't, I said, basta, too much energy in this city, I need to go to the desert. And they said, oh, don't worry, we take a car and we go to the desert. And you know, sometimes, you know, the people understand immediately the message, and they are quick. In this case, they were very quick. We did all the meeting in that place, look into this valley. That is a lucky thing, but sometimes you have to want it. This is the new studio. Well, different than the other one, but at the end, the idea is that we have daylight and calms us, give us a good vibration, but at the same, we're still being and doing the same thing than in the little studio we had many years ago. I arrived quite young here. I was about 21 years old. I did already 3 years in Madrid before. And I arrived here and I founded Castiglioni. This book, which you see here, now is in Italian. It is a version in Italiano, that the name was Time to Make a Book. And in Italiano, they wanted to translate it. Sometimes they want to translate something, and it's ridiculous, because tempo di fare un libro era un altro senso, had another meaning completely. My idea was to use this international way of saying time to make a book. Was for me a sentence. It was sometimes you say, me in that moment, I was moving with my family, and my studio, my community is my other family, all together in a place, all together, because we have the studio in the ground floor and my house in the first floor. And that idea of putting all together, that was a dream for me, was a moment of change. Then a chapter was closed and we were opening a new one. Then it was a moment to stop the process and analyze what happened before. I think this happened 2 years ago, and I feel that I'm having a big change. Sometimes you don't see it from outside, but me and the people that knows me, for example, Andrea is here, I'm in a moment of big change. Then I'm very open. Castiglioni was the man and the mentor that gave me university, the energy to focus on design. Just to understand that the project can be any tool that surrounds us, can be enough important to work on it as any kind of ambience or habitat or architecture. My big A of architecture, that I was one of my roots, was an important root that I have, became less important, and the big little D of design, of detail, of little things in your life became very important. Magistretti I was the other day speaking, doing a little video for the Museo of Magistretti. I like that you go and visit. I don't know, perhaps you have done, all of you, the visit of these two little museums in the city. And I was doing a little video. They were asking me to tell histories about my life, of my relation for 6 years, working in the Padova. I was the studio tecnico of this company. But the company didn't have a lot of people because it was very essential. Then I was working every afternoon with these men, having a cigarette in the back of a wall. And then we began always to work and was, for me, incredible. I think was the most generous progettista that I have nearby. This little chair is a Selene plastic chair, I think, which is quite emblematic from him. And when I did an exhibition in Verona, that for me 7 years ago, that for me was very important. The idea was how to protect the work that you do, how to find a way to go on your way, because if you have to keep away, and the way you do it, by your own, how to protect yourself. I was in that period very interested about protection. I'm not in this moment in this argument. I'm much more inclusive. Well, time ran away, and possibly you evolve. And you know, the taxi drivers, they have always this dress, and they sit on it, and I'm doing a lot of questions to them always. Why you sit on that? It's comfortable. It's an item that I love, and at a certain moment, I had one in the studio, and I put it on the chair, I fixed it, and was my only really made. Possibly will keep in my life, only one really made. The exhibition that I did in Verona, that this Selene chair was opening, happened in the moment that Vico died. Then the day before of the opening, he died. Then was something for me very important, and we dedicated the exhibition, was a very big exhibition, to Vico. And then after the opening, I went to Milano to the funerale. You have an idea, you do a big process, you understand more or less what you want, but something happened in the middle of the process that is out of your control. The shadows of all those items that they were moving in a rail, were much more emblematic and much more intelligent than all the exhibition. Then for me, in my heart, what I keep from that exhibition is the shadows.